Hello, I'm Reverend Jeanne MacLaughlin, the spiritual leader of Unity Church of Sun Lakes. So grateful that you're watching. Thank you for joining us. As you know, this is now August and we are in Phoenix, Arizona. Our Sun Lakes is in the Phoenix vicinity and it is hot here. And while some of us may not like the heat at all, and while some of us may love the heat, while the heat is the topic of many of the conversations, and while our theme for this month is the heat is on, the heat outside is actually not where our focus will be. But just as a nod to the hot weather, I have a little story. One August, an Oregon man left the cool, rainy environment of Portland for a Wednesday to Friday business trip to Phoenix. His wife was going to join him on a Friday evening and stay through the weekend since they could get such a fantastic deal at a resort hotel. Because the hotels are cheaper in the summer here in Phoenix. When he arrived, he had just a few minutes before his first meeting began, and so he decided to send his wife a quick email to let her know he was safe and sound. But in his haste, he made an error in her email address, and his note went instead to an elderly preacher's wife, whose husband had just made his transition the day before. When the grieving widow checked her email, she took one look at the monitor and let out a piercing scream and fell to the floor in a dead faint. At the sound, her family rushed into the room and saw this note on the screen. It said, "Dearest wife, the trip went well and I eagerly await your arrival in a few days. Your loving husband. P.S. It sure is hot down here." Okay, no more about the heat outside. Rather, we will focus this morning on turning up the heat on some of the concepts that we explored last month. Because last month we made the conscious choice to answer the divine invitation by getting dressed for dancing. And if you have no idea what that means, I suggest that you listen to last month's talks because they will support you in profound ways. During this month, we're going to deepen into some ideas we explored last month under the umbrella of blueprinting, bridging, and building the life that is our answer to the divine invitation, which is living the life of our divinely inspired dreams. Today, we will focus on blueprint. Next week, we bridge. On the third Sunday of the month, we will bring in some tools and expertise so that the fourth Sunday we can actively build the life that is the answer to the divine invitation. So that's the lay of the land for the month. Oftentimes, when we are asked to describe what we want, we immediately begin describing what we don't want. For some reason, that seems easier for us. And while contrasting what it is with what it isn't is an important distinction, eventually we must be able to say what the answer to the divine invitation looks like, and then claim it to be ours. So today, we clarify and we claim our blueprint for that life. We talked about blueprinting a little bit last week, and as I said then, it means just what it sounds like. Just like an architect discovers what building design wants to come out of him or her, and then creates a blueprint of that building, so must we create a blueprint of our inner God-given urges and desires. if we dive below the surface of the concept, we find that there are really 3 aspects of blueprinting the life that is our answer to the divine invitation. And we will explore them today. They are discovering, designing, and deserving. So this is how we blueprint. So let's look at each one. First, we discover the dream. Before an architect can draft the blueprints, he or she first has to discover what the vision for the building is. As I said last week, we receive a divine invitation. We awaken to the dream in which the urge of spirit pressing from within us to be more fully revealed in a more expansive way, one of 2 ways. Do you remember what they are? Either through our longing or through our discontent. Longing, the deep, heartfelt desire for a freer, fuller, more expansive expression of life than we are currently having. Or discontent, and we like to call it divine discontent, an unsettling feeling from within that something isn't complete. These are the 2 signals indicating that we are not currently living the life that is ours to live, that is meant for us to live. And so we begin to discover the dream by asking, what would answer my longing and dissolve my discontent? What would I love to be, do, or have? What would give me life? Now, for those of us who grew up with some traditional Puritan beliefs, questions like that might not sit right. Particularly not when they are being asked during a sermon in church, for heaven's sakes. What would I love to be, do, or have? This is a question that could be considered blasphemous or hedonistic. If any of you have any feelings such as that at all, breathe deeply into that right now. Now, you've made some space for the expanded possibility that when you answer that and similar questions, you are actually giving God a greater outlet here on earth. Genevieve Behrend wrote in her book, Your Invisible Power, at page 31, as you grow in understanding as to who you are, where you came from, the purpose of your being is, and how you are to fulfill the purpose for which you are intended, you will become a more and more perfect center through which the creative spirit of life can enjoy itself. I love the last concept. You will become a more and more perfect center through which the creative spirit of life can enjoy itself. And if the creative spirit of life is enjoying itself, so are you. And if you don't fulfill the purpose for which you were intended, or to use our word of this month, if you don't answer the divine invitation, the opposite will occur. Listen to this story from the beautiful Sufi tradition. A poet went to see his doctor because he was quite ill, emotionally and physically. The poet said, "Doctor, I have all kinds of symptoms. I'm unhappy and I'm uncomfortable And my arms, my legs, even my hair are all feeling as if they are being tortured. The doctor answered, "Is it not true that you have not yet given out your latest poetic composition?" "That is true," said the poet, "but I fail to see what that has to do with my illness." "Nevertheless," said the physician, "be good enough to recite it to me now." He did so, and at the doctor's orders, he recited it again and again and then again. After the third reciting, the doctor said, "Stand up. You are now cured. What you had bottled up inside had affected your outside. Now that it is released, you are well again." And the man stood up and found he was healed. Our way shower, Jesus, said the same thing, but in a different way according to the Gospel of Thomas, which is a gospel not contained in the book we know as the Bible, but rather contained in a collection of preserved writings found in Egypt in 1945, called the Nag Hammadi Library. It is made up of 13 ancient leather-bound books containing 55 texts. The books were all hidden together within a large sealed jar in the Egyptian desert for approximately 1,500 years. When they were unearthed, they were in remarkably good condition. The text in the Nag Hammadi Library date from the first 2 or 3 centuries of the Christian era and primarily represent previously lost or unknown Christian sacred writings, writings often described as Gnostic. Notably, including among the texts, was an edition of the Gospel of Thomas, which is a compilation of things Jesus said, not things that were said about him. And one of them was this: "If you bring forth what is within you, it will save you. If you do not bring it forth, it will destroy you." Couldn't be clearer than that, could it? Our blueprinting begins when we deeply listen to the divine invitation to discover what to bring forth so that spirit might be expressed here on earth, and we might be saved. So what is it for you? What makes you come alive? It doesn't have to be a huge purpose in life. It is very easy to get stuck here thinking that what is in your heart in this moment isn't big. It's not big enough. Let me tell you right here and now that this moment, whatever comes up for you, is the right and perfect thing for you right now. It may not be the end-all, be-all, but it is yours for right now. So just go with it. So number 2, designing your dream. Once we discover what makes us come alive, it is time to begin designing the dream. This is your vision that I mentioned each and every Sunday last month. It's the picture of the life you are living after you have answered the divine invitation. We call it your mental equivalent. And it's written down in word pictures with feeling and emotion. Oftentimes, we then create vision boards to depict in real pictures our mental equivalent. So here's a question I've been asked before. Which is more effective, to write your vision down and then forget about it, or to read it, spend time with it every single day? Writing it down and forgetting about it got some good press in the movie The Secret. You may recall the story John Assaraf told of pulling out an old vision board from a box that had been packed away for many years, only to find that the home he just bought was the exact house on his vision board. And then we are taught by wonderful dream-building gurus, including Napoleon Hill, who writes in Think and Grow Rich, that we should read our vision every morning and every night before we go to bed. But what if reading it every day brings up frustrated feelings of, I don't have this yet? What do you do with that? So which is it? Write your vision and put it away, or read it every day and risk feelings of frustration? First, and this is an important point, either or thinking causes spiritual disalignment. Think about it. In the allness, the fullness, the inclusivity of God, there is no either or. There is only is. There only is. So when we get into either or thinking, we put ourselves out of alignment with all that is. So this and thinking is in alignment. This and. You've heard people say this and something more. So what we want to develop is the consciousness of full acceptance of our vision, however that works for us. But it is very, very helpful in developing that consciousness to read the vision every day. That expedites manifestation from the unformed to the formed. And if we realize that we are feeling bad because that which we desire is not here yet, that is when the real work begins. That is when we get to move into the realization that what is in us is greater than any frustration or disappointment. That our vision is so much bigger than the current condition. That is when we get to consciously and deliberately step up and realize how big our God really is, and how ready universal substance is to pour into our experience that which brings greater joy, greater love, greater peace, and greater abundance. That is when we get to read and study and have more meaningful conversations with supportive people, all aimed at helping us move out of that place of frustration because I don't have this yet, to the place of I feel like I already do have it. By daily review, we also get to test drive our design, so to speak, and make sure that it fits, so that we can revise it and refine it if necessary. Now that's a powerful place to be, and a place that begins to bring our vision into manifestation. The final activity of the blueprinting stage is critical and really rolls over into the other two, bridging and building, the subject of upcoming Sundays. But we will begin it here this morning, and it is deserving. We must believe we deserve the dream. Once again, from Your Invisible Power, Genevieve Behrend writes on page 27. the power that brought us into existence, did so for the purpose of expressing its limitless support through us. There is no power on earth which could cut us off from our source except our own consciousness. And at page 29 she writes, before you can entertain the idea of making a mental picture of your desire as being at all practical, you must have some idea of your being, of your I amness. The I am in you. This is what I'm studying right now in class. The I am in me is powerful. Now, let's switch topics for a moment here. I have a question for you. How many of you have a virus protector on your computer? Today, would you be willing to install a virus protector in your mind so that you can claim your vision as your own? Keep in mind, feeling not good enough or undeserving is a virus. So let's install a virus protector right now, shall we? Place your hands over your heart and repeat after me. I deserve to manifest the life of my dreams. I deserve to experience joy, love, peace, and prosperity. I deserve to simply because. Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Bayron also writes at page 28. Your personal advance in evolution depends upon your right use of the power of visualizing, and your use of it depends on whether you recognize that you, yourself, are a particular center through and in which the originating spirit is finding ever new expression for potentialities already existing within itself. This is evolution. Psychologist Carl Rogers once said, "What I am is good enough if I would only be it openly." Last week, I gave you a spiritual practice to do before your feet hit the floor in the morning. Do you remember what it was? Identify something for which to be grateful. There is actually a second part to that exercise, and it's going to be our advanced virus protector. So here it is. After you identify something to be grateful for, think of something you did that you are very proud of, that you feel good about, something for which you could give yourself an attaboy or an attagirl. I took a class once where we were to write for 20 minutes with the intention of creating a list of 100 accomplishments. Identifying and focusing on those things helps me shift the I am not good enough belief and moves us into a greater place of claiming our dream. So, we blueprint by discovering what we would love to be, do, or have. By uncovering what would bring us life. We blueprint by designing that life in words and pictures. And finally, we blueprint by realizing that we deserve, absolutely, completely, totally deserve this life because of who and whose we are. And so we claim it. And so it is. Again, I thank you for joining me by listening to this recording. May it serve you and bless you. Stay tuned for next week. God bless you all. Have a great week.